yellow card, that would help just keep things in order, and you can drop it over here with Sheila. Or after we go through these yellow cards, if you want, you're free to come on up. Just state your name so we can have that for the record. So first would be John Parker, followed by Marcus Cranberry.
Hello, thanks to the commission for having me tonight. My name is John Parker. I live in Campbell, California, and I support the Gilroy Adventure Theme Park. I believe mountain biking is a very healthy outdoor sport, and that bike parks are an ideal place for young riders to develop the skills to expand on those trails and beyond those trails. And then after that, eventually those young riders go out with a love for the outdoors and become the conservationists that will continue to conserve wild areas, which I think is an important point about mountain biking. So beyond that, like everything else you guys have heard and everyone's gonna repeat, like it's a very healthy outdoor sport that will get kids on bikes and off the screens. Beyond that, I'm here representing Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz. I sit on the advocacy committee with them. Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz have been around since 1997. They're a nonprofit organization with professional full-time paid staff members that also lead volunteer trail work. Mountain Bike MBOFC volunteers have done over 25,000 hours of trail work since 2012. They've created a lot of trails in the area. The flow trail at Soco Devils State Forest is a notable example that was done with volunteer hours led by Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz. Beyond that, the paid staff does professional trail design, consulting, and maintenance as a nonprofit with their money in a shared situation, and also as trail work and construction for hire. So in closing, Mountain Bikers of Santa Cruz supports this park and hopes to see it to its fruition.
Thank you. Next up is Marcus, and then followed by, did you want to speak on? Followed by Martha Lara.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here, and it's really exciting to see have to sort of participate in the public process. It's a really refreshing change of pace. I'm here because I believe that bikes change lives. They changed my life. I grew up in Texas, and bikes in California, and I'm frankly here to stay. So I work with I'm also on the with MBOSC. All those people and myself. Like I said, we believe that is the case and specialized. And so, first, number one, specialized, we are supporting this. And we not only are we supporting this, we're saying, hey, when there's a shovel, when it's to the hillside, we're going to get driving. We just, whatever we need to do, we want to get involved. So, bikes change lives. There's a lot of research that shows that the more that you ride a bike, the better you're going to do in school, the better you're going to do in social interactions, and the more successful you're going to be in your life. The problem with that is it's increasingly hard to find a place to ride a bike. On the road, there's distracted drivers, there's kids texting in the crosswalk that we heard about earlier. There's just lots of things that are keeping you having a safe place to ride. And so providing something like this, a safe place to ride that's sort of open for the community, it would go a long way. And I also just want to echo everything said before. Can't really add much to that. It was very well said. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Martha? Thank you. And then followed by Ross.
I think this is a very great project, and I know that my son is 7-year-old would love to get involved with mountain biking. I guess my question would be, what are thoughts about involving more in the community of Gilroy? It feels like we're focused on a lot of tourism or people coming from the outside. What happens to the underserved communities who may want to get involved with mountain biking, but they can't afford it? I know that right now, Gilroy Gardens does a great job of giving discounts, but I also know that a lot of the Gilroy communities who can't afford to go to Gilroy Gardens on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, go to the Gilroy. There's a yearly and where Gilroy residents get to go in for free. Are there going to be certain or scholarships or classes where are provided out of other local firms or communities to be able to participate?
Thank you, Martha.
Good evening. My name is Ross Heitkamp. I'm visiting down here from now here. A long way to this hour of traffic.
Thank
you. The time I've come to use a adventure park. I'm here both as a mountain biker and hiker, and also a ridge trail advocate and volunteer. The area ridge trail, that is. So I'm really excited by the opportunities this provides with the land up there for connecting the ridge trail, and as well coming down off the ridge to connect into the Madonna area and the Uvis Creek Trail, and then eventually across the valley to the other side, since this south end of the bay is kind of slow to develop for the ridge trail. A lot of private land. I guess one of the key parts of that would be making sure that there's no fee access allowed through this area. Since it's public city-owned land, hopefully specify something like that in the lease contract. I'd hope that maybe something like the hiking trail could be an uphill-only kind of bike route, so people can go both ways. You know, a lot of people, I think, are going to be intrigued to take a lift and have an easy way up, but other people may want to get the exercise and come down the ridge, stop for a rest, come back the next day to finish the ridge trail as it continues on. So having just a good access to the public through there would be great. I think the facilities at the top there, the restaurant, that open to the public would be a really great amenity in the trail. It could be one of the first. And hopefully this may go beyond what the lease conditions would be, but hopefully they'd have single-use tickets for people who want to go up just to see the view. They're not going to be going up and down all day. Same for people that want to just get up to the ridge trail and continue on one way or the other. That kind of covers everything. I guess additionally, I've heard that the county parks would immediately start work to look at master planning for connecting this into Mount Madonna. So that connection's, I think, vague at this point, but that will develop quickly if you guys decide to move forward with this. Become a really good regional asset. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Erin Takagishi. Did I say that right? Erin, and then followed by Connie Rogers.
Hi, I am in support of this project. I actually have one question, and I apologize if it's actually already answered in the plan. But I have concern about a pay-to-play aspect of it. I think it's really important that it's open to everyone, and especially everyone in our community. And in particular, I'm not sure if there is a paved, easy trail that has been planned that's kind of large enough for people to exercise on, that people can come. I feel like that is a really big need in our community. I go to Ogier all the time, and I see that trail, that 2-mile loop that's paved, is used all the time with families. And I'm a mother of 2 children, and I know, and I'm part of that mom community here, and I know that that's a space that we will use, that we need. And also, if there was, I don't know if there's like a common space where people can congregate or spend time as a multi-use area for like corporate events or weddings or parties. That seems like that can also be a tapped source of income. I'm not sure if that's part of the plan. Just some ideas I'm thinking of. But I feel pretty strongly about the pay to play, that we should not have just a pay to play and an easy long term.
Thank you. Connie Rogers, followed by James Nixon. Hi, Connie.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having this public hearing, as it were. I've been a community volunteer for at least 40 years, and my husband has been one of the original docents at Gilroy Gardens. So I'm just representing ourselves and saying we're very much in favor of this project. It's perfect. It makes healthy, good use of otherwise unusable land because it's unbuildable and it provides a large public benefit. I do think some of the previous speakers were right on target when they asked about public usage, for the connection with the Bay Trail, and if people who aren't paying to use the lift part, might have access just for hiking. Anyway, I want to go on record as saying we're very much in support and would like to help you do anything necessary to see it happen. The second thing I want to do is commend the whole commission for taking a larger role in the public planning process, because you have made yourselves more visible and influential and helpful than we have seen in a long time. So that's good. And thirdly, as the president of the Historical Society, I would like to see you partner a little bit more with us in terms of marking the Juan Bautista de Anza Trail. And, if, for instance, if we had known that Meritage was going to build the little park at the corner of Santa Teresa, it would have been the perfect place to have a sign explaining the significance of the cedar trees that are on the National Register. That's it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Connie. Next up is James Nixon, followed by Jeff MacPhail.
Hello, and thank you. I'm a resident of San Jose and work up in Oregon Specialized, as well as help volunteer with Outride, which is a nonprofit that focuses on getting kids in schools. And I know you guys probably are aware that a handful of schools here in Gilroy are part of the Outride program. And the whole idea is to get youth riding and using the community and the trails in their area. As we start to foster this future of riders locally here in Gilroy, it's really important to us to figure out, as these kids move through the program, where they're going to ride after they finish the program. And so I'm in favor of the park and having a place for kids to ride beyond the school program. And on behalf of Specialized, I just want to raise the question about the potential use of electric bikes at this park. As we know that as people have places to ride, one of the biggest criticisms that we get is, oh, we're going to go ride our bike. We load our bikes onto cars and drive to a place to ride. One of the cool things about electric bikes is it allows you to eliminate that first trip. So it encourages people in the local area to get out and actually ride to the park itself and then utilize the park and then come back. This helps for multiple reasons as far as parking and logistics and development of the park, as well as just greater awareness for people use of the park as they see people riding towards it. So I'm in favor of e-bikes at the park, as well as climbing trails as well at the park. So it's not just a simple lift access downhill park. A lot of people who might not be as interested in gravity riding and want to do more country style riding can accommodate riding up and coming down as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Jeff MacPhail, followed by Zac West.
I just had a few comments just to make to the commission. I just been so thankful just for the opportunity for this meeting to happen and for the public to come and either show dislike or support for the project. Growing up in Gilroy, I have often looked at that mountain range and been in wonder of why in the world can't we get bikes up there? A long time ago, Christmas Hill Park used to have these hidden jumps, and they were really secret and elusive to anybody who rode BMX in this community. And it was something that we would watch these older guys, as being a young kid, just go and throw themselves over these jumps, and it inspired us as young kids to really get on bikes and to be active. And it's, for me, something that I want to be able to pass on to my kids, the same awe and wonder that I have for the outdoors and riding bikes to them. And I just am in favor of the project, and I think it's a great concept, and it gets more people in the community to participate in the outdoors in a way, and away from our day-to-day hustle that we are constantly in, and being able to just look around and spend time with each other as a family is something I think is something that this community needs more of. So that's just a comment, and yeah, thankful to the commission for allowing us. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Zac West, followed by Jodi Hall.
Hello, I'm super grubby right now. I just got done building jumps all day today, so I promise I'm not homeless. But yeah, I think having a mountain bike park in this area especially would be super beneficial, because most mountain bike parks are at ski resorts and tends to snow there like most of the year. So I think having a spot that people can go ride mountain bikes and like all year round would be super awesome. I think you'd see a lot of people come from like places like Canada, where there's a lot of people riding mountain bikes up there, and like Tahoe and stuff. So I think it would save a lot of trips for people that have to wait for it. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Jodi Hall, followed by Dillon Hall. The Halls.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Jodi Hall. I own Bike Therapy, which is a bike shop in North Carolina with my husband. And I just want to say thank you, and we, of course, support this project wholeheartedly. We truly believe that biking is the great equalizer. No matter how old you are, how much money you have, if you can ride a bike, you can get out into the fresh air. When I started mountain biking, I was 30-something, no, late 20s, and I discovered parts of Skyline, parts of the Santa Cruz Cruise Hills that I never would have ever found. And I really treasure that, and I think that it's really important to offer different ways for people to enjoy the outdoors. The tourism aspect is great. I think it's super cool that we'll connect the Bay Area Ridge Trail. And I think it's great to bring people here, but I think community, it's also going to make a huge difference for the community. And I do agree with some of the people that have come before about space to have events and meet. I used to be involved with trips for kids, and we used to bring kids from different low-income schools out for a bike ride, and it was life-changing for them and for the people that were involved in the rides. We also have started a mountain bike team, and some of the members of the team are here tonight. And it's just such a great way, again, to get kids out on bikes. And I think everybody will really get a lot of use out of it and appreciate it. And lastly, we will get a lot of people off the roads on their bikes. The roads are indisputably dangerous, more dangerous than ever to bike on. So that's why I love mountain biking. So anyway, thank you, and I appreciate you having this one.
Thank you, Jodi. Next up is Dillon Hall, followed by Bob Steed.
Hello, my name is Dillon Hall. I just want to say that I'm a mountain biker and do some sports. I just want to say that I'm in full support of this bike park. It's going to come to Gilroy. I'm super excited.
Good job, Dillon. Bob Steed, followed by Marcus.
Hello, I'm Bob Steed. I live in Gilroy, and I just want to first thank the Commission and everyone else who's worked really hard to
propose this bike park and get as far as we've gotten. And I think my wife Erin was up here earlier talking about access that is free access to the community. It will attract people from all over the area. We know that. People from out of state, probably out of the country, will come to Gilroy, spend money, go to the bike park, pay for the lift ticket, eat at the restaurant. But for something for the community, this is something that it might just be an afternoon for a family. In the summertime, that could be midweek. In the wintertime, that might just be a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, for a family to go out and explore the trails. So with that in mind, I'd like to make sure that if and when there's discussion, at least, and with someone who's going to be, you have to work out a contract with provider services, that we don't give them exclusive use for a certain amount of time. If you look at trails in Mount Madonna, Henry Cove, these are just trails. People can go on anytime. Henry Cove is open 24 hours a day. I can go right now with my lights and my bike and do a night ride and come back 2 hours later, refresh after a day of work. A lot of times people have different schedules. There's before school, after school, before work, after work. So make sure that if we have an official bike park that has a lift that's operated by a concessionaire, that we don't limit the access to the land, which is city-owned land, like any other park we have here. I understand they might not want to open all night, but if I can go to Los Alamos Park at 6 in the morning, run around the park, or go to, go for a picnic and it goes into the evening, I should be able to do that. And I don't think it should be any different at the land that the city owns behind Gilroy Gardens. So this would be a way to access the trails at 6 in the morning before work. Go for a ride. Not necessarily have to have the lift open, but one of the trails could be an uphill, easy trail for mountain bikes, or hiking or running, same thing. That has nothing to do with the lift. As much as I would love to lift surf, I might go out there and ride my bike up to the top of the mountain before the lift opens and get a run in down, and then the lift opens and I take the lift the rest of the day. But in general, I think access is really important. That would be not limited by time. 24 hours, not 24 hours, but basically daylight hours, maybe into the evening, 365 days a year, without having to have a staff member or a person there to say you can or can't use the trails. And kind of in conjunction with that, and also so kids, I've got 2 kids, I want them to be able to ride safely to the park. I know earlier we were talking about Highway 152. There's that section that's basically death if you're on a mountain bike, or a bike riding between Santa Teresa and the bridge. There's no shoulder, and you're at the mercy of open persons not texting while they're driving, knock you off the road. So yeah, long term it might be nice to have, we can try to get a bike lane on 152 for more direct access. But for the kids, we have the creek trail, the paved creek trail, which went in recently, which is great. And right now it ends about 50, 100 yards before 152, right before the bridge. It'd be nice if part of the planning process for the park would include getting that trail where it ends at a gate, get that to 152, maybe section off the second part of that bridge that goes across the creek, and create a protected bike path from the end of that standard bike path to the Gilroy Gardens or the start of the bike park. Not only would it be good for the bike park, but it'd also be good for Gilroy Gardens. Like right now, we have a season pass Gilroy Gardens. We drive, and all I see is a six-part lane, sort of a highway to Gilroy Gardens, and I wouldn't feel safe with the bike trailer trying to go to Gilroy Gardens right now. So I don't think it would cost very much. It's just a matter of getting in the plan to get sort of a bike-friendly, family-friendly access to the park. And again, it's not very far to go. But, yeah, thank you for your work.
Thank you. Next up is Marcus, followed by Kelly.
Hi, I'm Marcus. I'm a local rider. I'm also on the South Valley team, like mountain bike team here. And I think this whole park thing think it's a great idea. So good to have more park and more variety of riding for like all sorts of riders. I think it's great for our community because like the mountain bike scene is kind of growing around here, and it's really great to see that the city here. So helping like build it up. So I want to thank you guys.
Thank you. Kelly? Is it there? I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your last name. Ogier. Kelly Ogier. And then last will be Beth Sullivan.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Ogier. I'm a resident here in Gilroy. I've been mountain biking for about 5 years. I'm a member of Mountain Bikers Group. I'm also a member of the Sierra Beach Trail Stewardship. You may be familiar with them. They have helped revive local towns like Downeyville and Quincy through mountain biking. And it's been really amazing what they've done in those communities as they've seen their golf courses die off. Mountain biking has really helped them with tourism and generated their economies there. And although we're not quite as small as those communities, there's definitely an economic benefit to bringing something like this to the area. I have to often drive to Santa Cruz, where I'm a member of Girls Rock. It's a mountain biking organization for women. We offer free no-drop rides each month. And the beauty of that is that if you open something like this, you're going to open the community to having groups like that to start here. And so you will have more access, like we were talking about earlier. We have free demo fleets of a lot of these rides that introduce women to mountain biking, and that's something that potentially could be happening here in our community. This project has me excited because I have 2 little kids, and right now I find it difficult to find activities for them close by. Hiking, adventure course, that speaks to me. That speaks to me as a mother, it speaks to me as a woman. I really am excited because I have to go to Mount Hermon right now to zip line for the adventure course. When I bike, I go to Santa Cruz. I pump my money into their community, and I can do it right here in my backyard. I'm spending money on lunch, coffee, gas. I've spent the night in Santa Cruz, although it's only over the hill. When I have an event first thing in the morning, I don't want to make that drive. If it's here in my backyard, I'm going to use it. Look at the diversity here in this room tonight. You've got kids talking at your microphone. You've got women, men. The potential for this project is amazing. And I really hope that you guys will be in favor of it because I, as a Gilroy resident, am so excited about this.
Thank you. Is Beth still here or does she step out? Oh, there you are. Hi, Beth Sullivan.
So I think I'm the party pooper person. I'm not for or against this project, but the reality is that somebody at the company that would put this park in has to spend a lot of money to put the park in. And I'm not sure that it's going to be open to the public as much as we would like if it gets open. It would be fantastic. But all this should be worked in when the plans are being made. The park will have liability issues as the city of Gilroy does with the park now. And I'm hoping that it will be open to the public more so than just for the cost of entrance to the park. Maybe Barb can answer this when she comes up here. Would the park be, the bike park be separate from Bon County Gardens? Okay, so it would be separate from Bon County Gardens. Okay, so separate. It sounds awesome because all of, Bon County Gardens kind of reaches an age limit in the park. So kids don't have any, as much fun when they reach 12, 13, 14. They don't feel as fun, but the bike park would be open from young kids to adults. And I think that's a fantastic thing. As far as, I'm just commenting also on some of the comments I heard. Gilroy would be owned, it does own the property, but being leased by the company that's going to build this, again, it's a huge financial commitment to that company and liability to have the open park. So hopefully something can be worked in that it can be used for the community, the local community, at an extreme discounted price, or I don't know how it would work, but that's my concern. That it would not actually be open to the public, open to people to ride as much as they would like to. Again, I don't have a comment for or against the park yet. We'll see.
Thank you, Beth.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Thank you. Barb, you just want to come up for a second? I'll preface it. So I understand that right now what Chris Sutton in his presentation, what he's looking for is an agreement to lease. That's what he needs in order to go out. So I can assure, these guys can attest too, and so can City Council. As of today at 1 p.m., I haven't checked my email since, I've received over 170 emails in positive support for this. And a lot of it reciprocates exactly what everybody just said. And not only that, but we received a letter of support from the South County Mountain Bike Team, Santa Clara County Parks, which echoed exactly what the Ridge Trail was talking about. Bike Therapy wrote in, Garlic City BMX, which is building that dirt pump track. A lot of local sport and regional. And I wasn't expecting that much activity, but I want you all to know though that a lot of the questions that were brought up, like involving the, getting the underserved community access there, a pay to play access for, during city park hours. That this is everything that Barb and the board will definitely understand your support and what you're willing to want to get out of it. And at the same time, our commission will remember these things when it does come back to that point where a lease is negotiated. One of the reasons why I really wanted to get this out in the open ahead of time is that sometimes the city decides to go into closed session on a lot of negotiations, and that leaves out this right here. Because you can't really come in and speak about closed session stuff as openly as we can. So thank you for everybody driving out here and for the community coming out. I really appreciate it. So if you want to comment on any of those, go ahead.
I would like to comment.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for, I don't remember the woman's name, but thank you for the question about whether this would be a separate entity. I think that's very important for the public to understand. While the board of Gilroy Gardens wanting to know its neighbors and wanting there to be synergy and shared use of certain things like parking lots, needs to be involved. This is indeed a separate company because we don't have the capital to put this in. And the city doesn't have the capital to put this in. It's a $30 million project. The first $2.5 million is the most difficult because it has to get through environmental study. So whoever puts in the first $2.5 million has a much higher risk about whether they lose their investment. Once the $2.5 million, once we get it through planning, then it's a little easier to know where you are and for other investors. So what, as Zac said, what Chris Sutton, the gentleman from Select Contracts, is looking for at the moment is the ability to start the process to see if he can find the money. If he can't find the money, we don't have it. Nobody has the money. So I don't want to talk about the lease and what would be negotiated, because it isn't my place to do that unless it's a sublease with the gardens. And even then, it's something that would be difficult to discuss in this forum. But I am very comfortable saying that in the presentation, there is public access. So he's already done a presentation to the board, he's done a presentation to the city council, this started several years ago. And the models for these sorts of things is, as one gentleman said, by all means the lift has to pay for itself and the zip lines have to pay for themselves and somebody's got to put it in. They are generally designed working with counties and cities and states in order to provide public access for bikers. So is that part of the model? I don't want to give you details because I'll say something that isn't true, but nobody is suggesting that someone can't get access with their mountain bike to a trail that's put in somehow. And not on, you can only do it on Tuesdays. So somewhere in there that model exists. My other assumption is that that is part of once it gets through planning and we can know we can build it, then you get into those sorts of things where the community could be consulted and you have a group of people that are going to watch out for those sorts of things so that we can make sure we do that. I also think, speaking to some of the other people in the room, that there are a lot of organizations that understand the health and wellness of the biking community, and there is money specialized. There is money out there to assist for our groups, and I don't have that, but somewhere out there are people who want to make sure children get access to these sorts of things.
And I think as a community, we can make sure that we tap into those things once we get it built. And I think those are all really important subjects. So I just keep being aware. Let us, what we need at the moment is support so that the city council recognizes that the public would like us to proceed, and for us to see if this gentleman who wants to put it in can find backers. And he's not finding donors, finding backers. They have to make their money. So in that sense, it's a business, and he needs to take his business model to people with money and say, do you want to invest in this and invest in this community? And once we get that going, then we go back to what are the nuts and bolts. And then finally, I need a plug for the gardens. There is not a child in this community that can't read their way to a free ticket. You need to go to our local library 5 times and present that chit, and it's free. A child can, in fact, read their way to their entire family's ticket. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. Okay.
Thank you.
Is it okay to add something?
You can come back up if you want. Just come. You want to come up and say something? Sure. That's fine.
Yeah, Mike. I'm not off that.
Just state your name so Sheila can get it.
Mike Ammarel. One thing that from almost living the history, I've been writing since 1981. Santa Clara County, to me, and along with Marin, is the birthplace of mountain biking. To be able to do something this is almost unbelievable. When I read it in the paper, is this real? Because to have this enthusiasm, and everybody here almost knows everybody, we're all the cycling community. And I just want to go on record as being so much in support of this, because as I founded a group, Henrico Riders, there's what you could do in a racing venue at that, it could be world class up there, and that would bring people from all over the world to Gilroy. So again, I couldn't help myself. I had to say something.
Nice going.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up too before we bring it back for discussion. Just a couple of some other stats. So last year, the outdoor industry generated $92 billion in consumer spending, $6.2 billion in state and local tax revenue, and 691,000 jobs. Just some stats to throw out there. And I do know too, with all these organizations that really want to build public access, especially for the Bay Area Ridge Trail, that Santa Clara County Parks doesn't have a whole lot of that's open for mountain biking, but what they are willing to do, if this can start getting through, is to bridge those gaps so that folks can spend the night and camp at Mount Madonna and actually have an all-access trail to the park to be able to ride your bikes. So another e-bike thing coming from being able to camp and actually go over there. So it's back to us here at the commission. Does anybody have any discussion, anything they want to say? Or, I mean, we obviously know what I've sort of written down a little bit about what maybe the motion should sound like, but the floor is ours.
I've made my point pretty clear. I'm for this park. I think it would benefit this community. It really aligns with our commission's goals to get cars off the road, to get people out there. You know, being I'm a rider, so I'm not 100% a biker, but I'm still for this. It benefits everyone. So I just can't say this enough. Thank you for everyone that's come here. It's really been a wonderful show of support, and it really makes me proud to be a part of this community.
So I'm echoing Patrick's comment as well. And for the people that made the comment in regards to public access or any type of restrictions for scheduling, I'm on the same page as you guys, so I'll be looking out for supporting that.
I moved here 20 years ago, and the first thing I did is I got a mountain bike that could ride roads pretty well, because I immediately recognized how great this area is for doing that kind of thing. And I'm not suggesting, I hear the audience loud and clear about the need for public access, because I can relate to that. I lived at the base of the hills in the valley,
and I would ride roads up to Henrico and then sometimes mountain bike from there. But that's pretty crazy. I don't like having to do that. And now that I have kids, I don't have time to do that. I really enjoy, for the second thing I got into here was trail running and hiking. And we have a great area for that. And I can access great places with a 10-minute drive. But, you know, it's a pain to have to drive there. One thing I really like about this project is it could be close enough that I really could ride with myself or with my kids to access this. So it's important to me also that I'll be keeping an eye on that there is good public access to be able to get exercise here, not just have the downhill ability. And as far as some of the concerns about people being able to use this that are communities in Gilroy, we do have programs here that help kids to be able to get bikes or get their bikes repaired. One of them is called Turning Wheels for Kids. They do a big bike build every Thanksgiving time that you can get involved in. And we connect with them or connect with Specialized to help make sure that maybe kids in need have access to bikes and can go use this area as well to get exercise and be physically active, which is a huge need in our community, in particular in Santa Clara County. We tend to have some great things going on and great opportunities, but we also have a large population that really needs help financially, needs help making sure that they're getting our exercise. So we definitely, I support this, and I'm also supportive of making sure that we keep it accessible to all of our community members. Want to make sure everyone in the audience was aware that we now will be having all 3 middle schools in Gilroy through Specialized will be having a middle school bike program. And that's amazing and awesome, and we want to, this would just be another opportunity for those kids to get out there and have some place to go ride. And someone was just mentioning the birthplace of mountain biking. I watched an interesting documentary recently, and I did not realize I knew about Marin, but some of the really innovative things actually happened here in Santa Clara County. So, why not have a great place to go ride right here too? So I think that's all I have to say about it for now.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking for the motion. It sounds like what Select Contracts need right now is an agreement to lease. It sounds that agreement to lease will allow them to go out and seek capital. That's specifically what they need. So I would say that I guess the way the motion could read is recommend to City Council that that City of Gilroy or Gilroy Gardens enter into an agreement to lease with Select Contracts. I don't know. We don't have other side information to know whether it's City of Gilroy is better or Gilroy Gardens is better. I don't know. All we know is what we've been told and right now. So that gives leeway to City Council. And like I said, this is a recommendation. This is a room full of cheerleaders and supporters for the City Council to really understand clearly what the community wants. So I'll read the motion again. It's to recommend to City Council that City of Gilroy or the Gilroy Gardens enter into agreement to lease with Select Contracts.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes. And thank you again for showing up. This is a great crowd. We love it. Do not feel the need to stick around. We would love for you to stick around just so you can see all the other cool stuff we do to keep bikes moving in this town. By all means, just a thank you from our commission. We really appreciate it.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone brought up an important issue about accessing, this park via Highway 152. That there are improvements coming very soon to that, and our commission also supports building a bridge across the creek to be able to get there. But that's a huge financial issue to try to get the bridge. The other improvements will be coming soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.